Stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AmpTV mobile studio. That's AAMP-TV. Today's show is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit online for more information at nocourt.us. That's www.nocourt.us. An astounding round of applause for everybody tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, Magic 97.9 FM, right here in Las Vegas. Big hello to our friends over in LA on NBC News and CNBC Financial. That'd be KCAA. Thanks for joining us. Also in hotels from coast to coast on Hotel TV, as well as Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, and WOW Cable. We are here with Mike Gminski, Duke Hall of Fame. Yes, a very good basketball player, in case you're keeping score. Played in the NBA for, about 14 years. Also a broadcaster for, about 27 years, if I'm not mistaken. Mike, welcome into the show.
Well, good to be with you, as always. And I'm keeping my string alive of never having to write a resume for myself, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, to be able to do that is rather remarkable in the first place. So I have to tell you, being able to go from one really good situation to another good situation, tell you what, man, that is very commendable. Hey, what about this, Mike? I'm going to jump into it right away. So people watch Monday Night Football, and they watch different versions of a broadcast nowadays because you have a streaming audience, right? And then you have the regular television audience. And you'll also have, radio audiences, right? There's a bunch of audiences. But now with what Tony Romo has done in the booth, and Tony's done a fantastic job in the booth. I would say he is really brought some really good color. Now, as a color guy for the network for quite some time, right? You know the rodeo of being a color analyst, right?
Well, and I happen to be a big fan of Tony Romo. I think he's done a fabulous job. I think the pairing with Jim Nantz really works. But that's a huge part of it, Sal. I mean, who you're part, the chemistry between the two is the final 10% that really makes the broadcast. And there's no way to find out how that works. I mean, you can do all the testing, and they did a ton of it before they actually went on air together. But I really enjoy him and what he brings to a broadcast.
Yeah, as do I. I think he does a phenomenal job. He really breaks the games down in a way for the audience to understand on the field. This is really what it takes. So it's not just some guy that has been watching from the seats, right? Watching the games and just a fan. No, this is a guy that knows the game, but he brings color. I mean, really brings color. There are some color commentators that don't do a great job, but I have to say that this guy really, in my opinion, is the best in the business. That's why they pay him the big bucks, right or wrong.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, too, that I think what separates those, and one for me, I like how the person hits my ear. And, I think he's got a great voice. I think he anticipates really well, which is a big key. He coming up to the line of scrimmage, and he may say, all right, I'm looking for this, and that. And, so really doing a terrific job of, and plus the enthusiasm. That's a big thing, too. I mean, there are some guys who might have been great players, but just don't have the enthusiasm that they bring to the air, which is, the fan loves that.
Yeah, I would agree. But then there are others that have come to the table. Let's put it this way. So they're basically spinning off of what Tony Romo is doing, because he's just a wild success in the booth. And now you have the Manning brothers, right? The theory of it is okay. I'm okay with the theory of having Eli and Peyton as a couple of guys with a ton of knowledge, right? They've got a few rings between them, but there are certain people that are better on television or on radio or in front of a mic than others. And I know you know a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it's tough because I've done a ton of talk radio and I love it. I love both mediums. And someplace, we talked, I think, on past shows about finding your radio voice and, that how comes about. And I think there are guys that are just really comfortable in front of the camera. I had no doubt that Peyton was going to be good in whatever role it's just too much. He was too good in those commercials to not have that translate.
Right.
Eli, I don't think had the same personality. And although, I think they were taking a gamble off that one commercial where the two of them were interacting with one another. And, I credit Eli a lot. I'm thrilled that he got his number retired by the Giants. And, the things that he's done there have been incredible. But, you try the mix. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. We'll see. You got to give it a little time. I understand that. I think everybody's kind of taking a step back on this one now.
Well, and I see it as Eli Manning has a very, very different personality than Peyton. Peyton is that lovable kind of guy that whether you liked him, whether he's playing or not, he's one of those guys that you could gravitate towards because he has just a fun way about him. I don't know him personally, but from everything that I've seen, he projects very well to the camera. The camera really likes him. Where I see a set of eyes on Eli, and this is just my own opinion, folks, so if you don't like it, too bad. The fact is, he's got scared eyes. He's got scared eyes, and I don't like that. I don't trust his eyes. Whereas Peyton's, I absolutely do. Peyton could sell me a cloud. I'd probably buy it, if you know what I mean, right? I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I don't feel comfortable with Eli on camera.
And here's the thing, Sal, I think that for that reason that he was a great quarterback fit in that market as a player, that he had a great personality and a temperament for handling the media as a player. But it turns into a different deal when you're on the other side of the camera. And, I think what they were trying to do is buy into the brother chemistry.
Right.
Maybe that would change Eli a little bit, if not a lot.
Right. Well, exactly. But wait a minute. So now they're on television, right? So they're doing the Monday night games, whatever. And so Eli now had to apologize, of course, for giving the double bird on television while discussing an Eagles fan. Come on, man. So here the Manning boys have been pretty good to middle-of-the-road TV so far on the four-letter network's alternative Monday Night Football programming. But the wheels seem to have come off a bit when they ran amok and the FCC chimed in from their third telecast of the season. And the chaos began during an interview with former NFL defensive end Chris Long in the fourth quarter of the game between the Eagles and Cowboys. Eli, no stranger to the NFC fans, and well, they all didn't necessarily like him, but that is one of those divisions. Philadelphia, I think very well. I mean, remember, these same people, they booed Santa Claus, right? I mean, so everybody knows the fans in Philly are tough, even a 9-year-old. So while Eli had recalled a 9-year-old fan giving him the double bird on occasion, and, of course, he held his fist up to the gesture to try to show what the kid did to him. But, of course, here's Peyton saying, okay, let's show up to the fire with a gallon of gas, and let's throw it on the fire, make it just a little bit bigger, if you know what I mean. And so here's Eli flipping off the national TV audience. And yes, the FCC certainly jumped in. Now, unfortunately for Eli, the four-letter network did not have enough time to blur the image and the gestures out, of course. And one commercial break later, a chastised Eli was apologizing to the audience for flipping them off. Come on, guy.
I got to think. First of all, Sal, I don't think that anybody in Philadelphia took offense. I think they get
right.
That
that's an everyday thing, right?
However, I mean, see if you agree with me on this. I'm a traditionalist. I grew up when Monday Night Football started, and you didn't necessarily tune in for the football game. You turned in for Meredith and Cosell and Gifford. That was the entertainment, and the game was great. But now I think they're trying all these things because, to me, Sunday night football has replaced Monday night football. And by the time Monday night comes, I'm burned out because it started on Thursday, and then you got pro, college, all the way leading up to Monday night football, and I'm tired of it by then. Yeah,
it sort of wears on the audience, and frankly, I'm with you on that one too. As I see it, look, we've got Thursday night. Pretty soon we'll have Saturday, then we'll have Sunday, then we'll have – it's just too much football. We already have college football in the middle of the week, which is sort of wrecking everything. So when we come back from break, maybe kind of take that another step further of what the networks could do from a programming side, maybe to boost their position instead of bringing people on that are flipping the audience off. Going to be back here in a few minutes with Mike Gminski, Duke Hall of Famer, 14 years in the NBA, and guess what? Also in the broadcast booth and on air for, I don't know, a couple of decades or so. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
You're listening. The only one radio station in the heart of Pasig City. This is 104.1 Best Radio FM. Stay tuned.
Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, the Carpenters, you hear them all right here at FM 96. Coit, K-O-I-T.
This is NPR, National Public Radio.
Stereo 92, KDFM, Walnut Creek. Broadcasting from the beautiful Quail Court Office Park.
KMPX, Big Band 99 FM.
These are the classical music stations KDFC, San Francisco, and KIBE, Palo Alto.
This is KRE in Berkeley.
These are your classic stations, KKHI AM and FM in San Francisco.
Camel 106.
KSFA.
This is Northern California's Radio Concert Hall. KDFC San Francisco and KIBE Palo Alto.
Let us be your music. Let Tom Brown play for you. 99.7 KYUU.
This is Cable Music KABL, Stereo 98.
Everybody needs love, 97K.
KIOI San Francisco.
That's us, KSAN.
Adding a beautiful note to your summer. Easy, refreshing music from Wish, WSHH, FM 100.
The Gentle One. That's Stereo 99. WKBN FM, Youngstown.
Quad 106. WWKS, Beaver Falls.
Now, WEEP invites you to get into the country with Bob Clark.
The good music sounds of WLOA, WLOA FM, Braddock, Pennsylvania.
Y103, WYFM, Sharon, Youngstown.
KDKA FM, Pittsburgh.
WTV Pittsburgh.
WNUF.
WHOT.
WSOM.
Hey there, it's Nick Mackay. You may know me as the voice of Salem Saberhagen, the talking cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You're listening to the Sports Circus. I'm on a calliope. Get me out of here. I'm scared.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV. Make sure you check out AMP TV there, All Ages Media Programming.TV. That's what it stands for. And make sure you subscribe and hit the like button and follow on AMP TV, as well as also on all your other social mediums. You can find us on Facebook even under Sal Circus. I guess because I'm a one-man circus, not really sure. Nonetheless, big welcome back to everybody tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from Honolulu all the way out to our independents in Atlanta, WDJY. Thanks for joining us all the way down to South Texas, home of the Astros, Rockets, and Texans, KSIX, CBS Sports, 95.1, 96.1, 12:30 a.m., and everywhere else. I'm not going to name them off. I just can't. We don't have enough time. All right. Also, make sure that you check out, tell you what, we're going to do it right now. There's an organization out there. It's called Rebound. And our special guest host, who is going to be a regular with us, that'd be Mike Gminski, Duke Hall of Famer in the NBA for about 14 years, also in the broadcast booth for about 27 years. He's been in the rodeo for a long time. Now he's in the circus, and he has some very special friends over at an organization called Rebound, and we're going to hear all about that right now.
Yeah, Sal, thank you. We're the Rebound Institute down in Lake Worth, Florida. It's owned by Jason Williams, who from St. John's with the New Jersey Nets was a teammate of mine in Philly and had his issues with drugs and alcohol. Became clean 7 years ago and started this place. And it's where I came last year to begin my journey of sobriety. And I'm currently 14 plus months sober. Working down here as a counselor and a peer mentor, and trying to help other people on their journey to sobriety as well. So it's a wonderful place. I still get a lot from it, and it's given me a second chance at life.
How could people find out about Rebound?
They go on. There's a website on Facebook, and they're on Instagram as well. So just if they go on and look for Rebound for Life, the letter or the number 4, Rebound for Life, you can find out a lot of information there.
That's good stuff. Always nice to give a shout out to all the right organizations, certainly helping a lot of people out there. Now, back to the subject at hand in the last segment. A little bit about the booth. And I want to talk a little bit more about this because sometimes an audience can be held. And you made a statement that I thought it was powerful because it was the last 10%. Because you have an audience that will tune in and tune out, right? But engaging the audience, grabbing the audience's attention, and holding them, and also through commercial break, right? That's kind of a big deal because sometimes programs can't do it. But when you have the right broadcast team for a sporting event, you can do it, right or wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's a huge part of it. And you talk about keeping the audience, ever since the remote was invented, it's very easy to cruise through the dial. And even, with the best crew, people are checking other games or moving around. And we're in a kind of a short attention span society these days. So it's tough to lock in unless you're an ardent fan of the whole game. But, I agree on that national level, the game of the week or, whatever sport it is, to have that chemistry between, and there's more than just the knowledge of the sport. There's the entertainment, there's the sense of humor, there's the storytelling. There's a lot that goes into a broadcast, and the rapport that the play-by-play and the analysts have, really brings that to the fore. And most times you can see it's there initially, but to really get it, it's probably going to take Tony Romo and Nance, maybe another year or so before they become really iconic. But you can see that right away, and all those qualities go into that.
Well, I would say, in my own opinion, look, I enjoy listening to Buck and Aikman, but I would rather listen to Romo and Nance. I get more out of Romo than I do out of Aikman. I mean, by a long shot. And I think Nance is just as good as Buck. In fact, I prefer Nance. It's just my own feeling. But ultimately, you've got two good pairs there. Two good peers. And then we look at the recent addition of Drew Brees into the booth on NBC. He's going to likely, in my opinion, take over for Chris Collinsworth with Al Michaels. But the difference that I'm seeing here is the Manning boys, in my opinion, I don't know, I can't speak as a fact, but in my opinion, they have not essentially gone to broadcasting school, if you will. They have not taken the actual training in front of the camera, in front of the mic. Yes, they have the knowledge, but they don't have the entertainment value as a collective twosome. Does that make sense?
Well, here's the difference too, Sal. I mean, you touched on, and I like Troy Aikman, but I think there's an enthusiasm level for Romo that sets him apart from. I think Troy can be a little dry at times. He's getting better. I mean, I think that's his basic personality, and that's the thing. You've got to be true to yourself. The problem, I think, with the Mannings is there's no pro sitting next to them who's taking them on the journey. Like Tony Romo gets to sit in with Jim Nantz. I mean, Jim Nantz is
right.
He's been around, and
yeah.
You talk about being a co-pilot to somebody you have a lot of confidence in. That's a huge deal. For the Manning brothers, they're kind of inventing this thing on the fly. And that's not the easiest thing to do when you have absolutely no experience. Peyton has some of it. He has a lot more than Eli does. But still, it's not that real pro sitting in the seat, even somebody between them.
Well, and it comes through when Eli's talking, because if you listen to his voice, his diction, his lack of cadence, there are things that training could probably fix, and he could be good at some point, but right now I can't watch those guys. I'm not ready to watch a raw product. It could be that diamond in the rough. I don't know. They're good at what they do, but they're not great at what they do. Whereas I think Romo's group, and I think that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, look, these guys are pros. They've been doing it for a while. Tony Romo hasn't been doing it for long, but he is naturally, as you said, enthusiastic. So I don't necessarily know if Brees is going to be as good with Al Michaels. In my opinion, I think they're going to get together. I don't know if they're going to be as good as maybe Collinsworth and Michaels, but Collinsworth is good and he breaks the game down. He does have enthusiasm. I think he's going to retire, though. It's just as I see it, I think Bruce is the heir apparent at that point. What do you think?
Yeah, and I love listening to Chris Collinsworth. I mean, I love how he breaks down a game and his presentation. And, it's going to be interesting because Al Michaels is a very, very strong personality who's been in it for a long time. And it's going to be interesting to me to see how that chemistry is with Drew Brees and how he accepts him and how they work together. If I think Collinsworth has been in it long enough that he's got the self-confidence to pull that off. Who knows? And Drew Brees could step in and be a hero. Who knows? But
yeah, I think he's a little tentative right now because he's just a few weeks into it. But I think Drew is going to be good. He's a well-spoken guy. Like Collinsworth is a very well-spoken guy. They're not the same people as Tony Romo. Romo has a genuine giddiness and goofiness and fun, kind of like Madden. Madden was fantastic in the booth with boom, pow, whatever. He didn't know people's names. He didn't have to. People saw the entertainment value in him. And I think people like the knowledge and the entertainment value of Romo. And I think that's maybe where the Manning brothers are trying to go to try to maybe take a blend of what John Madden used to do as the color guy and maybe what Romo's doing right now, maybe trying to blend the two. But I think the four-letter network has their hands full in training. They probably could have gone with a better mix. But then again, what do I know? I'm just another guy watching a game on television, and just like everybody else, as long as I'm entertained, all I know is those guys are not entertaining me, and I'm not going to be watching that.
Well, and, for Monday Night Football, I mean, there has been a ton of change in that booth and broadcast over the last, 5-6 years? And it seems like they're just having trouble finding that right mix. And it can be very elusive. And, when you like Pat Summerall and John Madden, I mean, that was
a phenomenal pair.
It was magic. And, they threw them together and it became iconic. I think you're getting to that point on Monday night about football fatigue. if especially with it starting up on Thursday again. And when you see a lot of change, it's tough to get comfortable with a broadcast until they, I think, settle in.
Well, think about this. I mean, look, I'm here in Las Vegas. Everybody can see that if you're watching television, you're watching streaming, OTT streaming, you can see I'm here in Las Vegas. I'm actually right at the corner of the Caesars Palace property. And so right here, we have a lot of casinos. You have a lot of choices. Just like we have choices in watching different games. Now, everybody can watch every game in the National Football League. You can watch them in the NBA. You can watch them in baseball. You've got channels. You've got packages. How do we keep people entertained? All these casinos here in town, everything that's behind me. I mean, there's 7 casinos that you could see here. The fact is, people can spend their money at any one of those. And they also have different draws, whether it's an Eiffel Tower, whether it's a water show, whether it's ancient Rome, whatever. It doesn't matter. Or it could be a pyramid right down the street from here, right? At the end of the day, you have choices to watch TV, just like they have choices to go spend their money. Because listen, folks, people come to Vegas for entertainment purposes. They don't come here to win. That's why the lights burn bright. Believe me. They come here for entertainment. Just remember that. Don't go spending your money thinking, I'm going to go win $1 million. Doesn't happen very often. Back here with Mike Gminski in just a few minutes, folks. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. Really? He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Did you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play, but in the game I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports? You get music? Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV.
This segment brought to you in part by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job, and host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119, or visit online for more information at calivegas.com. That's www.calivegas.com. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, Magic 97.9 FM, right here in Las Vegas. Everybody else streaming on Facebook and Instagram and AMP TV, also on Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, Wild Cable, and in hotels, as you can see, all over the place, even here in Las Vegas. Back here with Duke Hall of Famer Mike Gminski. Mike, guess what? We got a little basketball question for you, and it's going to be about Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, a very good small forward with the Golden State Warriors. And now this is according, let me kind of run over something here with NBC Sports first. NBC Sports had said Warriors small forward Andrew Wiggins said he wouldn't take a shot unless forced. And the city of San Francisco is requiring Golden State players to take the non-approved, non-FDA-approved experimental drug injection to play home games and even participate in team practices. And the NBA denied Wiggins' request for religious exemption. And where does Wiggins stand now? He says, quote, "I'm just going to keep all of that private right now. Again, anything that has to do with my status, vaccination, I'm just going to keep that private. It's a personal matter. So I'm going to keep it personal and private. Back is definitely against the wall, but I'm just going to keep fighting for what I believe. And whether it's one thing or another, get a vaccination or not get a vaccination, who knows? I'm just going to keep fighting for what I believe, and what I believe is right. And what's right to one person may not be right, or vice versa. And it's not just none of your business. It's what it actually comes down to. I don't ask you guys about your beliefs. I don't ask you guys what you think is right or wrong. We're different people. It's like parenting. Some people shed their beliefs onto their children. Some people let their children grow up and believe what they want to believe. Who are you guys where I have to explain what I believe or what's right or wrong, period, close quote. So that's by Andrew Wiggins. And it's a really good analysis, I think, of the entire situation. You know what I mean?
You know, it's such a, it becomes a topic that, for one, I was actually fully vaccinated, and I came down with COVID about 6 weeks ago. Now, the symptoms that I suffered through were very mild, and it passed through relatively easily for me. I'm a big proponent of getting a vaccine, but I'm not a big proponent of being mandated. And this is where Mitchell Wiggins has a point. However, if you're a private entity, that you have, that's your right to say, all right, I want my employees to be vaccinated. Or if you have a restaurant, you have to prove you're vaccinated to come into my establishment. I get that right too. So for him to take this stand, I mean, I'm all for his right to take the stand and not take the shot if that's what he comes down to and feels, his heart or hearts. It is going to impact his team. It's going to impact his teammates. They're going to be, I was just reading the stories yesterday. Was media day for all the NBA teams before the start of training camp, and the whole Golden State, instead of making a run at another title with Klay Thompson coming back, it was all Mitchell Wiggins. And that's a distraction. So I don't know how, I think Steve Kerr is a terrific coach to have in that situation and how to work through that. I don't know what the end result's going to be. I've got the problem with the mandate. But, for the NBA, they've got their stance too as far as people vaccinating or unvaccinating. I just fall into it, Sal. I'm a proponent of it, and it worked well for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, your body, your choice. Look, for me, I say I'm going to go ahead and do things as I want. You're going to do things as you want. Andrew Wiggins is going to do things as he wants. And really, we should be left with the option to do what we actually want versus what somebody's trying to sell us. And the bigger problem that I have with this, Mike, look, I mean, as kids, what do? We took 100 shots or whatever, right? We got vaccinated for seemingly everything as kids. But the deal was all of that was FDA approved. This is experimental still, and it's still in clinical trial stage 3, which takes a long time. And there's been so many adverse events, as we've seen on the VAERS website, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, right? So there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have been sick, died, etc. And that's public data. That's CDC and FDA data. That's not manipulated by anybody on the outside. That's legit. And the problem that I have with this is, look, if a person wants to take whatever they want to take, that's their free will. This is a free country, right? And a lot of people seem to be missing this part of it. So, look, the bottom line is Andrew's body, Andrew's choice. The United States is a free country. And, of course, forcing people to take a non-approved drug is against human rights. It's against the U.S. Constitution. And point 1 of the Nuremberg Code and National Institute of Health, which I'm going to recite a little bit right now for all those people that don't know what this is. Now, the National Institute of Health and the Nuremberg Code, point number 1, very clearly states the voluntary consent of a human subject is absolutely essential. This means that a person involved should have legal capacity to give consent, should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, or ulterior form of constraint or coercion, and should have sufficient knowledge of comprehension of the elements of the subject matter involved as to enable him to make an understanding and enlightened decision. There's a lot more to that, but we'll kind of leave it as that. Let's see. I think we have an open mic somewhere. Let's see if we can close that. Folks, this is live. It is what it is. We never cut anything out of the broadcast, so, it's live, so get over it. But see, Mike, the fact is, even the National Institute of Health says the same thing. This is the Nuremberg Code. I'm not making this up. People need free will. And so what they're doing to Andrew Wiggins, yes, it's a private company in a private enterprise, and they reserve the right to have their own policies. We know that. But the one thing that stands out is that there has been coercion it's been politicized. It has been forced upon people, do this or you can't work, even in the federal government. And this is the one thing that drives me crazy. The federal government says, federal employees have to do this. Now, this is the government, mind you, which goes exactly against what I just said, except members of Congress and, ironically, the United States postal workers, of course, because, well, we know the mail has to be delivered, right? So, if they get sick, all right? So we know. But my problem with all of this, Mike, is there's coercion at the highest level, which goes exactly against the Nuremberg Code. What can be done about this?
And believe me, I'm completely on board with you, Sal. Because once you start mandating this, a medical procedure, it's a slippery slope. And where does it stop? All right, we started with this vaccination. Now, given all the things that have happened, again, I made the decision that I wanted to get vaccinated. But it was my choice. And I just, I don't think it's government's place to come in. And my sense is with this out in Golden State, it's a city of San Francisco issue that they're facing. So, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with federally mandated vaccinations for all, just because that opens the door just a crack, just enough for who knows what in the future.
Right, it does. And I feel bad for guys like Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Kyrie Irving is standing up and saying stuff. You know, I can't say Kyrie is a member of the Duke family because he was only there really for a semester, maybe 2 semesters. I don't know, but I'm sorry. In my opinion, yes, Kyrie Irving, good basketball player. Until you graduate, you are not a member of the Duke family. Sorry.
Well, and and certainly Kyrie has had, and I've spent some time with him. Good guy, but he's taken some public stances that have been real head scratchers. And again, and I'm sure the press up there love him because of things like this. And but I can say as a teammate that wears thin at some point in time because. Now out in Golden State, all they're talking about is Mitchell Wiggins instead of talking about Klay Thompson. And, in Brooklyn, they're talking about Kyrie. He's the topic of discussion. That's when
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think at some point a distraction is cool. Yes, it sells more newspaper subscriptions now because we're not really selling hard papers much. And I think it's good for them, but it's bad for the league. It's bad for the team. What a slippery slope. Let's get off of basketball. We got something different when we come back. Back over at Mike Gminski. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big, bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. That's 800-989-1694.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Hey everybody, this is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Welcome back, everybody. Mike Gminski here, and I am underneath the big top with the Ringmaster Sal, who's keeping me in line, or trying to, and hopefully entertaining you all.
Nobody can keep you in line. Come on, man. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Put your whip down, Sal.
Oh, whip. I don't have a whip. I mean, out of the hotkeys, let's see. We have, well, here's what we have. We have a punch. But I don't think I can reach up to 6'11", though. I don't know. I'm only 6'1". I mean, you've got me by almost a foot. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's okay. All right. A big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, Hotel TV, Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, Wall Cable. We're everywhere, folks. Can't get away from us. All right. Back here. And now we've gotten away from all the other stuff. I got to ask you, are you a fisherman? Do you like to go fishing?
You know, growing up, I have very fond memory. I grew up in Connecticut, and I have very fond memories of going fishing with my grandfather. That was the time that we would spend together. We'd go lake fishing for largemouth bass, and he would have a pipe, and it was just a very peaceful time for me with him. I haven't been fishing as much recently as maybe I'd like to. The one thing I've never done is gone deep sea fishing. I'd really like to do that.
Really? Now that's good stuff. So, all right. Well, since you haven't done that, you've done lake fishing. So you've caught your share of catfish, for example, right? I think everybody has.
Yeah, bottom feeders, not that difficult to catch. Put up a nice little fight, though, when you get one on the line, for sure.
Okay, so I got something for you, Mr. Connecticut. A Connecticut angler. His catfish record has actually been revoked. Yes, it's been revoked. It's unbelievable. Now imagine this. So here you've got this fisherman who is very excited because he was actually credited with shattering the state's white catfish record recently, and that has gone down the toilet. Ben Tomkunis caught a 21.3-pound catfish back in August at Coventry Lake. Days later, the Bureau of Natural Resources declared Tompkins' new record holder. Well, they said he was the record holder. Mm-hmm. Let's get to this a little bit deeper. Now, the agency also said, quote, "This was a tough one to verify as channel cats and white cats, especially when so large, look very familiar. But with multiple sets of expert eyes, we confirmed the new record," close quote. All right. So we have a new record, a nice round of applause for the new record, but not so fast. Apparently, debate continued as to whether the fish was actually released. By the way, it might have been improperly identified. So he doesn't have the fish, right? They had some pictures of it, but he doesn't have the fish. So the Bureau of Natural Resources announced that the decision has been reversed. Yes, it's been reversed by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Oh, come on, man. This is stupid. Now, the state record, therefore, still stands at 12.75 pounds, and the Bureau of Natural Resources announced via Facebook, God forbid they actually put it onto, I don't know, some kind of national media or somewhere else. Oh, we're going to use Facebook. Quote, "Due to the questions raised both internally at DEEP and by outside sources, DEEP is recalling its initial declaration of a new state record, white catfish caught in Coventry Lake on August 20th, without the ability to examine the actual fish. Identification is left to still images and videos, which have proven to be ambiguous and inconclusive to definitively identify the species of catfish in this case. To maintain the integrity of the state record data set, we are reversing the initial announcement that this 21.3-pound catfish was a new state record, and we apologize for the error," close quote. Come on. What kind of garbage is that? Oh, mercy.
Sal, first of all, my first question is, how much of the taxpayers' money was spent in this whole fiasco? And again, we've been on government things and government programs during this show, so topical. And I think that there are maybe some things in Connecticut that may be just a little bit more important than this, but not to the guy who caught it. I mean, come on, just let the guy have his record. Let's, go on. And I just think a lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy to verify then unverify this guy's catch. Probably the thrill of a lifetime for him.
And it's like a hole-in-one. It's something you know a little bit about golf on, but imagine, well, nobody saw your hole-in-one, so guess what, Mike? It didn't exist. So did a bear relieve himself in the woods, right?
I thought you were going to go Eli Manning on me for a minute, and we were going to have to dub out something. But yeah, and you know what? I've actually had one hole-in-one in my life, and
really,
and fortunately, there's another foursome was right next to the green when it happened. It was an elevated green, and I didn't see it, but this foursome saw it. So I had plenty of witnesses for my one hole-in-one.
Wow. I mean, the only hole-in-one I've ever had was at the Clown's Nose at the miniature golf place. That's it for me, and I'm really good at that. If there's an anthill to hit the ball up or something, or some ramps or loops or something, I'm in. I got to tell you, I'm one of the world's worst golfers, kind of like I'm one of the world's worst guitar players. But let's go back to that golf thing. So you're a big Ryder Cup guy. Give me a little bit of detail of what you saw.
Well, I just thought it was a wonderful finish. I think you're seeing a transition back to a time maybe of United States dominance, because there were a lot of young, gifted players that that teamed up for the U.S. and it was a very lopsided victory. I really felt great for Steve Stricker. I mean, he's the captain. By all accounts, one of the nicest guys you're going to meet, and for him to be in his home state, the Whistling Straits, up in Wisconsin, and get this victory. It's a storybook thing for him. Then you get the handshake between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, which everybody was waiting for. Didn't know if that was going to happen. And then Dustin Johnson, a guy who just kind of goes about his business, 5-0 during the weekend, and only four other players have done that in the history of the Ryder Cup. So. A lot of I love events like this. I don't know how you are, but like the best, and you could tell Rory McIlroy did an interview afterwards, and he was in tears, legitimate tears about losing and about how important the Ryder Cup is to him. Patrick Harrington was the captain of the European squad, and these guys, and this means a lot. And I don't know what other event takes an individual sport like golf and makes it a team event like the Ryder Cup does. Maybe, in track and field, in the Olympics, you're part of an Olympic team, but the Ryder Cup is special to me.
Right. Well, look at it this way. The Olympics should be amateur athletics, right? But they brought the pros in, so they kind of watered the product down a little to produce actually the best performance, instead of having more human error, which the Olympics wasn't about pro athletes until, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever. The fact is, on the golf side, you have a group of really good individuals, your country against their country, against that country. And so there's so much pride. And I could say this just from me watching even the World Baseball Classic when it started in 2009. I remember going to that. For me, I saw the fire in the belly of the fans that wanted to see their country win. So they would travel from out of the country to go to this newly created World Baseball Classic thing. I don't even know if it exists anymore. But the idea is you have this world tournament. And I love the fact that now it's country against country instead of just team against team.
See, for that reason, I love World Cup soccer. That is the epitome, I think, of what you're saying. If Spain is playing in the World Cup, the country shuts down. Literally shuts down. Italy, country shuts down. France, take all England.
Brazil.
Argentina. And it just, This country doesn't stop to watch the U.S. soccer team play in the World Cup, but I love the passion of the fans.
Funny you mention that. I was sitting in a meeting a few days ago with somebody from Costa Rica, and they had said, when is soccer going to become more popular in this country than football? I said, I got bad news for you. Football is America's sport, followed by baseball and basketball, almost in a neck and neck, if you will. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, wait a minute. Football is not an international sport. I said, well, maybe not. Baseball, yes. Basketball, yes. Hockey, yes. He goes, but soccer is the number one sport in the world. And I mean by a long shot, right?
Sure.
And closely behind it is racing, like Formula One racing. Mm-hmm. It's just this country, we are so focused on football, baseball, basketball, hockey. That's it. Right? We don't really watch, and our kids maybe, I don't have kids, but the kids today, they will watch some soccer, but we don't see a lot of soccer on TV. I love watching it on the Spanish channel because I love the enthusiasm of the announcers. Go! It's just incredible. They really call a great game. But listening to the English-speaking announcers, I literally fall asleep. And I think a lot of it is because we don't embrace it so much in this country. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think this country loves scoring. So,
yes.
A great soccer match could be 1-0. All right, it's either one goal in 90 minutes. And where people in other countries appreciate the beauty of what happens on the pitch in that time, I think the American spectator, American sports person gets bored. And I don't think, swimming. I love watching swimming in the Olympics. You don't see it anywhere else in the other 3 years. Track and field, You don't see a lot of it. I love it in the Olympics. So I don't think soccer will ever approach in this country what it is to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I could see you as a shot putter, right? You think you? I mean, you already have a reach advantage, right? So you're in this little area here, but here you've got this 6'11" body and this arm that will extend out to, I don't know, the first ring, whatever, the first Saturn ring. I don't know. It doesn't even seem fair for a guy of your size to be able to shot put.
Well, I'm not big on throwing 16-pound objects around, and I think the length of my legs would fall outside of the ring on the throw, and I'd probably incur some sort of medical injury doing that. So I'm better off just watching these guys.
Right. Yeah, I think me too. I'm not really good at that. I grew up throwing a 16-pound bowling ball, but that's about it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the circus today. Big thanks for Mike Gminski joining us. Also, a nice shout out to Rebound as well. Thanks for the information on Rebound. Make sure you check them out online. Also, we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. So until then, so long, everybody, from the Sports Circus.
Wow! If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.